Hello. Welcome to the Core Dog Experience. We're here, talk Ohio State Buckeyes, and talk college sports. But before we get into it, you know what we got to do. Please hit that like button. Please subscribe. Grew a lot in 2023. Trying to do more here in 2024. Help a brother out. Like, subscribe, like. With that out the way, let's get into it. Ohio State, Michigan State. For those that could see the game, it was on Peacock. A lot of folks were not happy. It was on Peacock. A lot of folks couldn't see it. Your brother got Peacock, so I was able to watch the game. All 38-7 demolition of Michigan State. I got to watch, but not everyone got to watch it. Not everyone got to see it. And those that did had some not a lot of difficulties, but there were some buffering issues. I experienced it as well. And unlike some folks, it wasn't the internet. It was just buffering. So I understand why folks weren't happy that it was on Peacock, but hey, wasn't right like Ryan Day called up Peacock and said we're gonna have our game on your streaming service. That was a Big Ten decision. So it is what it is. Hopefully that's the only time it's on Peacock this year, but who knows? You know, Peacock got to get their money's worth. You know, and we know Ohio State fans bring it. So anyway, it was on Peacock. Hopefully got to see it because it was a good game. We got to see a lot of good stuff. Got to see a lot of good stuff. In particular, our defense. Got to see them get off to another slow start. It's just common because, let's face it, Michigan State went up and down the field in the first half, the first quarter. I think the first three drives, they was just between the 20s. They was on point. The quarterback was making throws. They were getting big chunk yards. Something we haven't seen in a while that our defense do is give up big chunk yards on consecutive plays, and Michigan State was getting them a lot in that first quarter. So again, I won't say so much of a sluggish start because it had a different feel of it. The defense did than what it did against last week against Western Michigan. Just like Michigan State came out and they punched Ohio State in the mouth with the big running play. Then Aiden Childs, he was on point. The receivers were running wide open. So I can't necessarily say it was a sluggish start. I don't know what the defensive philosophy was that first quarter, because they were playing a soft zone, it looked like. And like I said, receivers were just running open. And I don't know if our lockdown corners, why we weren't playing man-to-man to start the game. I don't know, but the defense got off to a slow start. With that said, slow start and all, the defense got the turnovers. And that's what pretty much kept Michigan State out the game, out of the end zone. They got opportune stops when you need it. Right in the very first drive, they went right down the field after we kicked the field goal, right down the field. They get down into the red zone. They go for it on 4th and 1, and then our boy Cody Simon made the play, made the stop. Who made the play was the defensive line. I believe it was Tyleek. They showed the replay. He submarined the whole offensive line. They couldn't get no movement. The quarterback, Aiden Childs, couldn't get no movement, and Cody met him in the line. Met him head up in the line, and Cody won the battle. The reinforcement came, and they stuffed him on 4th and 1. So one of those opportune stops right there thwarted Michigan State's opening drive because they went literally right down the field. Big pass plays, big chunk play right off the bat. The running back, 15, 20 yards right off the bat. So Michigan State went right down the field, and they came ready to play. But defense, they made the opportune stops when they needed to throughout that whole first quarter. Throughout the whole first half, they got opportune turnovers. They got opportune stops. It was like that bend and don't break philosophy, as my man pointed out. They got the stops when they needed to, despite Michigan State going up and down the field. And on their touchdown, came off a turnover. They had a short field, and we're going to talk about Will Howard in that turnover, but Michigan State got a short field and they scored on the very next play because I don't know what defense we were playing. Igbenogson was they were in red zone. They was at the 15-yard line and Igbenogson's lined up in the end zone. It looked like they threw a little hitch pass and dude ran it in. I didn't understand the defensive philosophy that whole first quarter. They got the score, short field, but after that, the defense, like they want to do, or shown the second half, they came out and was totally dominant in the second half. But the first quarter, not so much a sluggish start. I just don't know what defense they were playing. It was real vanilla. They let your boy back there, and he just looked like an all-pro. Those first quarter, first 3 drives, it's like they went up and down the field. It wasn't for the turnovers. Who knows? But we got opportune turnovers. Hancock knocked the ball out on another. The tight end was wide open. Hancock caught him from the backside, knocked it out. And another one, Aiden Childs, not known for ball securities. I had a feeling we were going to get some turnovers this game because he's not known for ball security. Showed in that Boston College game, reason why they sort of lost that game as well. Just turnovers, and they had the turnover bug this game, which helped and benefited Ohio State. Some of those Ohio State calls. It wasn't like Michigan State was just dropping the ball. Ohio State forced those turnovers by good defensive play, making up for some of the wide open stuff. But the defense, just I wasn't a fan of the defense. Their defensive philosophy that whole first quarter. The offense, on the other hand, they just pretty consistent throughout the whole game. They really didn't make any big mistakes outside of, like I said, the bad interception that that Howard threw. I don't know what he was looking at. I don't know what he saw. The dude, he was Emeka was covered to begin with, and I guess he didn't see the guy undercutting to make the interception. But that was just a bad throw, maybe his worst throw all season long. And again, to set up Michigan State for the short field, and they scored at the very next play. But outside of that, the offense was on. It was like a well-oiled machine. The offensive line played well. We're going to get to Jeremiah, but the offensive, I talk about some other stuff, folks, because we know who stole the show. We know who stole the show, but the offensive line, you cannot go without saying how good they look. And this is a defense y'all folks have been waiting to see what we're going to do against a top-notch defense. And Michigan State came in as one of the leaders in sacks and just a fine defense all the way around. They got some dudes as well. I mean, they're lined with the Jordan Turner, whatever his name was. That's a dude. The guy to make the interception, that's a big boy there. So Michigan State, they got defense, and I think Ohio State's offensive line handled themselves and acquitted themselves well, both in the run game and in particular in the passing game, because Will Howard had all day to throw for the most part all game long. He was able to go through his reads, able to go through his progressions. So, hey, Josh Fryer he might be actually earning some money on that offensive line. Might getting them developed just a little bit, because they starting to gel. They got Jackson back. They look good. I think we rushed for over 5 yards a pop when we did run the ball. And I said, Jeremiah had his catches. We're gonna get to Jeremiah, but Will Howard had time to throw the ball. Like I said, outside that one bad interception, which may have been his worst pass all day. Other than that, the offense looked like a well-oiled machine. There was very little Michigan State could do to stop the offense once they got going. And they needed to, because I said that first quarter, Michigan State was going blow for blow with us. Unlike years past, where Michigan State always used to be the thorn on our side, even when we were routing them, it seemed like in some of these recent years. But the Michigan State's there's always that team just always have to watch out for, because you never know. And I know we're on this nice long winning streak against them, but it's just one of those teams you just never know what you're going to get. New coach there, and not as worried about him as during the D'Antonio years, because D'Antonio he could give us some problems. But Michigan State first Big Ten first road game. Like I said, big step up in competition, and I thought the O-line and the offense in general looked really, really well. Now, we know who we gonna be talking about. Is there anything this young man cannot do? There's anything he cannot do. In the first half, we needed him to come up with some plays. We needed him. He was there. Like they say, you let your playmakers make the plays. Jeremiah, he is that dude. Period. Some would even say best freshman wide receiver ever at Ohio State. It's hard to argue that. It is really hard to make that argument against him. But you just I always take into consideration the era we're playing in now. We're more of a pass-happy offense now as opposed to previous years, because you wonder what someone like a Chris Carter would do in this type of offense. Go back to Michael Thomas, Joey Galloway. What would some of these guys do? David Boston. What would they do in this type of offense as freshmen, given the opportunity? So but it's hard to argue given what Jeremiah is doing in his framework, his body work, and just how freshmen in general are just more prepared to come into the college and start right away, as opposed to years past when you came in as a freshman. You're pretty much going to sit. So it wasn't that big rush to get developed right away. But now these cats are coming in expecting to play. And they coming in and doing their thing. I mean, it's just not just Jeremiah. It's across the board. I think Bama, Ryan Williams of Bama? He doing his thing. Just freshmen across the board in multiple positions. They coming in ready to play. I'm just glad we got one of them. We may have the top one in Jeremiah, and y'all know the plays. Let's just. For those who didn't have Peacock, and I know you probably done seen some of the replays by now, but to see it live when it was happening in real time, yeah, y'all missed out. If you still haven't had the opportunity to see my man do his thing, I'm gonna let y'all see it right now. Jeremiah was just look.
To Smith, oh my! That's just not fair. Devin Brown's in the game. They're going to blitz. They're bringing an extra guy off the edge. He trips. Puts the ball up there where only Jeremiah Smith can catch it. He goes up and gets it. And that is a huge...
What can you say? What can you say after you see that one, but two one-handed grabs within the span of seconds of one another? Two different quarterbacks coming in and doing it. One kept the drive alive, another one just pretty much, I think, just killed the whole Spartan Stadium. So they thought they were going to get out of the half within striking distance. Jeremiah said, oh no, y'all ain't getting off that easy. Y'all shouldn't have let me get down here in the first place. But this, it's just amazing, the stuff, and you can imagine just the accolades he was getting from across the board, because evidently some people do have Peacock because they saw the play. See all the comments that just came pouring in on the different social sites, and yeah, Jeremiah is that dude. But before, we know Jeremiah is that dude, but you know what's amazing about this whole sequence of stuff? First, like I mentioned, the two quarterbacks. You have Will Howard that made the play to get down there. And then, Will Howard, he takes that shot and he gets hurt. We go talk about that in just a little bit too. But Will Howard got hurt. And you're like, oh man, what's going to happen now? I think it was third down or something. Third down. And You know what people were saying as soon as he got hurt? Bring in Julian. We want Julian. But no, Devin Brown trots out there. Devin Brown's like, oh man, all right, come on, Devin. Show these people. A lot of these people who wanted you to start last year are these same people that want you gone this year. So come out and do something, Devin. Do something. And Devin came out, third down, pressure situation. Now had this been Ryan Day calling the plays instead of Chip Kelly, I almost guarantee we probably would have ran the ball. And that's why I'm sort of glad Chip Kelly is calling the plays. Are you with me on this one? If Ryan Day is calling that play, when Devin Brown comes in, he's still the play caller. Are we running the ball with Quashawn or Trevion? With Chip Kelly there, Chip Kelly's like, nah, we going to throw this ball. You know, Devin being here, we going to throw the ball. I'm not sure Ryan Day would have the confidence in his backup quarterbacks because he didn't show it at all last year, and he pretty much hasn't shown much confidence in his backup quarterbacks since he's been here. That's one of my biggest pet peeves with Ryan Day. So I was anxious to see what they're going to do with Devin Brown. I thought after they called the timeout, thought they're going to trot Will Howard back out there. I was like, oh, that's a mistake. Why y'all going to do that, Michigan State? You going to let Howard come back in. But Ohio State stuck with Devin Brown. Chip Kelly called the play. I'm glad he's calling the play. I honestly think Ryan Day would have ran the ball. That's just my opinion, given how Ryan Day has treated his backup quarterbacks in the past. But I'm glad Chip Kelly made the call, let Devin make the play, and to his credit, he put the ball only where his guy could get it. Fortunate being it was Jeremiah Smith, because I don't know how many other receivers could have made that catch. But he put it where only Jeremiah could get it, and Jeremiah did what we know Jeremiah did because y'all saw the play. But Devin put it there. But let's even back up before that. We've seen it before from our man, because as good as that catch was, as good as that throw was, it ain't happening without Trevion. And again, if y'all didn't see the play, if y'all only saw the replays, y'all missed the most important part of that play. Trevion Henderson picking up the blitz. I saw it in real time. And the other folks didn't see it until they did the playback. And we seen it before from Trevion this year. If I'm a linebacker, I'm thinking twice about blitzing, and Trevion's in the backfield because he picks up the blitz a lot better than Quashawn does. He puts you on your black back and he will hit you. Trevion does not pick up this blitz on the blitzer coming in, who was coming in free. And I don't think Devin even saw him, but Trevion picked him up on his backside, gave Devin the opportunity to make the throw, which hence gave Jeremiah a chance to make that catch. None of that happens without Trevion picking up that blitz, and I'm glad folks are starting to recognize Trevion and his importance in the passing game. Yeah, the offensive line did their thing, gave him some time, but you had a free runner. When you get those free runners, you need a back there to pick it up, and Trevion has done it consistently throughout the year, a la Ezekiel Elliott. That's one of the things Urban Meyer loved about Ezekiel Elliott, what he did without the ball. Trevion's in that same category. What he does without the ball is tremendous. So kudos to Trevion. He's more than just a speed back that'll power arm and stiff arm you to death. He will pick up that blitz. But and gave Devin Brown a chance to make that throw. But like I said, Will Howard. Why was Devin in there to begin with? Will Howard took a shot, and it was a clean shot to the midsection, and it got the wind knocked out of him, and people just had a gasp when he went down. Like, oh man, now Howard is hurt. That's just great. That's great. And people, I was sort of in that boat. What are we going to do with Devin Brown? Because I'm thinking they going to run the ball. RPO, Devin's going to keep it and try to run because he's known as a runner. That's what he was known as. He's the more mobile person. At least I guess it don't take much more to be more mobile than Kyle Core, but that's why folks wanted him in last year because he was the more mobile quarterback. So I'm thinking they're going to do a little RPO and let Devin try to keep it or something. But I had a feeling they were going to run the ball. I did not think they were going to let Devin Brown come in and throw the ball. But lo and behold, they let him come in and throw the ball and caught some of our fans by surprise, like me included, because I thought they were going to run the ball. Again, Chip Kelly versus Ryan Day. I think Ryan Day runs it. Chip Kelly's going to throw it. He's trusting his folks. So I'm glad for that. Even with that said, people were still wanting Julian Sand to come in even after the game. They want Julian Sand over Devin Brown. For the most part, I thought Devin acquitted himself. I think he acquitted himself well. I think he had one bad throw in that second half where he didn't give James People time to break open. Got a little rush, but that just comes with experience. But the boy, he has a live arm. He has a lot of zip on his throws. He just needs experience and how to develop some touch. Is he going to get that opportunity? I don't know, because Julian played a lot. So there might be a switching of the guard that people might be wanting. Julian saying coming in and taking over that QB number 2 spot from Devin Brown. But I thought Devin acquitted himself well given the opportunity. So like I said, that closed the first half. Jeremiah doing his thing. And that didn't bode well for Michigan State because they had their opportunities in the first half to make it a game. Defense came up with those opportune turnovers. And I said that last touchdown by Jeremiah, I think that sort of just was the dagger. Because Michigan State, they were praying they could get out of there down 17-7. I think that would have given them a little more hope. But that dagger and the way he did it, so even the Michigan State fans were like, "Oh my God, what a catch!" Just the way he did it, the catch was phenomenal. I think that just sort of stuck a dagger in their heart, and they knew it. I think we all knew it because Ohio State, if anything, they've been a second half team this far this year. You can move up and down the field on our defense in the first half, which Michigan State did, but they shut them down in the second half. They gave up barely gave up over 50 yards in the second half. So the defense did what we thought the defense were going to do, but they just waited to the second half to shut them down. They got the turnovers in the first half, but they were way more dominant in the second half. So again, second half defense, Michigan State had their opportunities and they blew it. With a team like Ohio State, you're going to have to get out on them early, because if anything, they're going to make the adjustments. Jim Knowles has shown he can make adjustments and shut the team down, because they weren't going up and down the field the second half against our defense. Yes, they had to throw more, but the passing lanes got shut down. They changed up their defensive philosophy. They were on the receivers a little bit tighter. I mean, why we didn't start the game out that way, I don't know, but we shut them down in the second half, like we've done pretty much to all the teams this year. And again, for the whole game, despite how they went up and down, we only gave up 7 points for the game. Again, it's hard to score against our defense. They make the stops when they need to. Of course, you can't rely on those opportune turnovers, but they got the turnovers. So they did what they needed to do. Moving on. Before we moving on. Defense second half, I thought the offensive line was great. Held them for under 300 yards for the game. And again, Michigan State on the road, we did what we needed to do. Before I finish up my thought on Michigan State, we got to give props to my man. He had a rough week last week. Jay Fielding, he had a rough week. I said he got over his case of the yips. Not only did he come out and make that field goal, but he got all his touchbacks. Got all his kickoffs into the touchback area. So whatever they needed to work out, he worked out the yips. So hats off and kudos to him. Kudos to him. Glad to see it. Because I was like, when that field goal, I was like, ooh, I hope he got it worked out. But after he made the field goal, I think everything that may have went on I guess they had the kickoff battle during the week. He won that, so that probably bolstered his confidence some. And then, he made the field goal, so I'm sure that made him, got everything else just probably a big weight off his shoulders, and he just started booming the kickoffs like ain't nothing ever happened. So kudos to Jay Fielding for getting over the yips, because the yips are hard to get over. Yips are hard to get. Nice job, Jay. Nice job. It's at Michigan State. 38-7, road test. Ohio State passed with flying colors. People are waiting for Ohio State to play somebody. And it's true, their non-conference schedule was not the hardest, but I think it's been mentioned that this was not always the case. The case was they were supposed to play Washington, but from my understanding, they were supposed to play Washington, but when Washington became part of the conference, they had to find somebody. Hence, Western Michigan raised their hand. We'll take the money for the ass whooping. So that's it. You ain't gonna get a Power 5 person this late in the game when you got to schedule somebody. Ain't no Power 5 people willing to take that chance. You got to get a lower level school to take it. And so hence their non-conference schedule isn't what it was all cracked up to be. So when people like Desmond Howard make they stupid comments, is it just me, or is he more annoying than Mark May? He might be. It's close. It is close. Still Mark May, but Devin Howard getting to that point. Then maybe just long term. Mark May did it over a longer period of time. I don't know, but Devin Howard, he's getting there. He is getting to that point. And it's all right. You want to talk about the schedule and how Ohio State ain't played nobody, given that you sort of defended Michigan's schedule last year, but now you're going to say this crap this year. And just, if you're going to say it, just bring up the little caveat of why the schedule is. Like, these schedules are made years in advance. So Ohio State had Washington on the schedule. They're in the conference now. Should they have kept Washington? I don't know the dynamics to all of that. It may not have jived with the conference schedule they wanted to do, so they had to get another opponent. You're not getting a Power 5 opponent, period. Just mention that when you start making these things, they took a whole month off. What was Michigan's excuse last year? I don't know, but just, you're going to say that, just mention the whole thing on why it is the way it is. And with that said, we go segue. Talking about Desmond Howard, don't you want to do that sometime? Just something. Him or Mark May, who would y'all slap if you had the opportunity? If they're both sitting there, you just slap one, like those slap competitions. Who would you slap first? Desmond Howard or Mark May? That'd be a toss-up. I don't know. Do a double slap? I don't know. They both annoying as hell. But anyway, Ohio State, Michigan State. We own them for right now. we own Michigan State. Hopefully John will get that thing turned around, but it is what it is for right now. And like I said, Ryan Day doesn't lose these type of games that often. We're playing an unranked opponent. Like I said, that's one of the things I hope Michigan State had held on against Boston College. I do think they would have been ranked, but it is what it is. But it is what it is. Michigan, back to Desmond Howard, Michigan, and Michigan surviving yet again, under 100 yards passing against a Minnesota squad that we talked about, lost to North Carolina, that lost to James Madison. So, and they needed every bit of everything they had to hold on against Minnesota at home after leading 24. They had a nice lead and let it all go away to Minnesota, and needed help at that. They needed help. And y'all know, if y'all ain't seen the game, y'all ain't heard the stuff. They're up, came back. They're holding on for dear life. I think they're up 24, whatever it was, 27-24, holding on for dear life. Minnesota just scored, and they lined up for the onside kick. And recovered it. Celebrating, hoop hollering. But wait, flag, penalty, time out, not so fast. they called Minnesota for offsides. They showed the replay, y'all. Here's the still picture, y'all. Does anyone look like they offsides, y'all? Even Michigan fans like, I have to get, even some Michigan fans like, nah, dog. They're like, that ain't offsides, man. Come on. This ain't no JT Beer where they drawing that diagonal line on that for dog. They ain't offsides. Where'd that call come from? So you can imagine a lot of people were pissed off that, hey, y'all got bailed out. Y'all, that's not offsides. Minnesota had y'all. At least they would have tied it up. You know, it goes in overtime. Michigan probably still wins, but that was just a terrible call. It's not even close. Not even close. But they get the win. They survive yet again. They still have quarterback issues. Again, under 100 yards passing. They're relying heavily on the running game. And against some teams, that'll work. They ain't gonna work against everybody. At some point, you're gonna have to develop a passing game. And at some point, you ain't gonna be allowed to rely on some of these calls that are seemingly bailing you out, because that was a big bailout. Offsides. Even Michigan fans were like, nah, they did the line. You know, remember that fourth down call, JT Beard? They drawing that little line. You know, and some of the Ohio State fans doing the little whoever drawing the line, they doing the little diagonal to make their point. No diagonals needed here. A straight line. They all behind the line. Where's offsides at? If they anticipating offsides, and you're allowed to pick up the flag when you get it wrong. I'm just saying. They was not offsides. That was a true bailout for Michigan. So that was a big game in the Big Ten. The biggest game of the day, though. Yes, moving on, because y'all's offsides. Y'all know it. Offsides my ass. Oh, man. Bama Georgia. Big game of the day. Big game. Like this person was here. What game was y'all watching? Cause they was on pretty much at the same time, man. And I had Ohio State, Michigan State on the big screen, cause I had Peacock. so some of y'all didn't have the Peacock. Y'all was probably watching Bama Georgia. You know, unfortunately I had Peacock, so I had Ohio State on the big screen. Then on my little screen, you know, I was keeping tabs on what was going on for Alabama and Georgia. And then, like in the first quarter, it was like, this game ain't even worth watching, because Alabama was putting a butt whipping on them. It wasn't even close. Oh, like before you looked up, it was 28-0. The number two team in the nation, and y'all getting whooped up on. It wasn't even close. But I was keeping my eye on them, and I'm thinking to myself, Kentucky exposed. I was surprised, but not surprised, because Kentucky sort of exposed Georgia. You go in there and you come out of Kentucky with a 1-point win, and I know Kentucky, we're going to get on Kentucky a little bit in the next session here, but Kentucky's for real, all right? We saw that, like I said, Kentucky, we'll talk about them a little bit here, but they sort of exposed Georgia, 13-12, so I'm surprised, not surprised, Bama was able to do what they did. Now, it was almost a flip-flop between the first half and second half, because Georgia came, not only did they come back, they came all the way back and took the lead. 28-0, and came back and take the lead, 36-33, I believe it was. Now, kudos to them. In that environment to do that, you got to take your hats off. You got to take hats off to Bama for pitting it on them. And take your hats off to Georgia for coming back. That was a damn good game. And I was looking back and forth, and I'm like, damn, wait a minute. It's 33-21. Georgia making a game of this. So I was like, come on, hurry up and finish this. Ohio State, Michigan State. I gotta see how this game gonna finish. But that was a damn good game. That's where that game between top 5 teams should be. And that was a really good game. Up and forth, back and forth. Defenses really weren't stopping anybody once the offensive got going. And that was a good game. But was I watching it over Ohio State, Michigan State? Yeah, once it got interesting, when I knew Ohio State was going to be a foregone conclusion. I still had Ohio State, Michigan State on the big screen, but I was a little more focused on what was going on there. I can't lie, I was. That was a damn good game. But Alabama held on. They held on at the end, and like I said, that was an instant classic. People were calling that an instant classic. Anytime you're up 28-0, the other team comes back to take the lead, and you take the lead back on the very next play in the fashion that they did, yeah, that's an instant classic. The only thing I hate about that game is who they gave the credit to. Talking about Jalen Milroe had his Heisman moment. No, he didn't. What did he do? He ain't had no Heisman moment. Talking about we got Jeremiah Smith, Ryan Williams. If anything, that young man, not that he had it was a Heisman worthy type mention. Because Jalen Milroe didn't do anything but throw him the ball like quarterback's supposed to do. That young man made that play, almost a Braxton Miller-esque type spin move. And then the speed. Oh my God. I haven't really watched much of him, but yeah, him and Jeremiah, like I said, these freshmen come ready to play. But no, that was not no Jalen Milroe Heisman moment. Stop giving the quarterback all the credit. In the stat sheets, it's going to show whatever 77-yard pass touchdown for Milroe, but they got taken into account yards after catch, because that young man did everything after he made that catch. But that was not no Jalen Milroe Heisman moment. That was that young man making the play, similar to what Mullins did last against in the SC game. He made a play. I mean, stop giving these quarterbacks credit. That's why they always win the Heisman, because you guys always give them the credit. That young receiver made that play and bailed out Alabama after they squandered a 28-point lead. But that was a damn good game. Other games, damn good game, and it's probably going to vault Alabama to the #1 spot. Best win on the season. Beat the #2 team, even though I do think they were exposed by Kentucky. Alabama did what Kentucky couldn't do. And speaking of Kentucky, they got their win over an Ole Miss team. As we move on here, Ole Miss, like I said, couple segments ago, they always elevate these Mississippi schools just because in the SEC, but when it gets down to and they actually got to play somebody, they always falter. The other day was no different. Kentucky went in there and beat Ole Miss, just like I had a feeling they would. They talking about playing somebody with a pulse. Anytime Ole Miss plays somebody with a pulse, they lose. Kentucky played, they lose. They get elevated every year until they actually play somebody with a pulse and they lose, and they did it again. Lane Kiffin's Lane Kiffin. Next time he win a big game, let me know. Cause I don't think he just ain't gonna do it at Ole Miss. I just, if they're able to turn around and actually win some of these games against the LSU's, Alabamas, or whoever they have down the road, I'ma wait and see. Cause right now I'm not convinced. They're just the same old Ole Miss who gets hyped up every year because they're in the SEC. That's all I got to say about that. And I'm glad they lost, because he talking all that mess about how we doing our NIL because we stole Junkins from him and Igmanosin. So hey, whatever. Worry about your own house. Stop trying to be in other people's houses. Oh, other games that went down the top 10. Utah, another top 10 team that I had in my top 10, I believe. They go down at home in flames to Arizona. There's some upsets, y'all. But the team I'm still keeping an eye out on is Indiana. Indiana, are they for real? They beat a very good Maryland team. Like I said, they got a good offense. Their defense, who knows? Jury might still be out on that, but I got Indiana's for real. The coach is no joke. You know, he's brash, and he's saying what he's saying, but he's backing it up. So Indiana is for real. It's going to be interesting how the year plays out for them. So once they get in there with some other folks, I think Maryland was a good test. And they were going back and forth for a while, and Indiana pulled that one out. But the surprise of the season still has to be Florida State. Started off as a top 10 team. They just got bounced badly by SMU. Was the game even? How's the coach still there? If they're not, the only one probably more, well, I don't know, is North Carolina more sad than that out of the ACC? I don't know which one's worse at this point. 20-point lead against Duke heading into the fourth quarter, and you managed to lose. I thought your players were going to play for you until they ain't. They lose, they blew 20 to nothing heading into the fourth quarter, I believe, and they lose 21-20. Total collapse by North Carolina. I don't know what's the sadder situation, North Carolina, what they're going through, or Florida State. I got to say Florida State, because they started off the season as a top 10 team. Like I mentioned, my last podcast was, this was a top 10 team that was, in my opinion, going to use this year to audition for one of the big boys, because they went out of the ACC. Like I said, y'all may want to reconsider that, because y'all audition tape ain't going all that well. 42 points up to SMU. Ain't like the Pony Express is there. Name one person on SMU. Craig James and Eric Dickerson have left the building, and y'all got rolled by 42. Let them roll up 42 points on you. That's just sad. But interesting stuff. Like I said, Alabama, the big winner of the week. I'm taking care of Georgia. Turned out to be an exciting game. Top 10. You know what the top 10s are going to be. This is Core Dog's top 10. Everyone got to have their own top 10. Core Dog, no different. Got my own top 10. Similar criteria. You know, I try to base some on who it is you're beating to a point. My basis is starting off some of these preseason polls, but ultimately it's who you're beating and how you're looking when you do it. And knowing what these other folks are going to do based on past history on how they treat some of these teams. But you know what's going to happen. It happened when Texas beat Michigan. They vaulted to number 1, and you know what's going to happen again. You beat the number 2 team, and you're already the number 4 team. You're going to vault to number 1, period. And I'm pretty sure that's what's going to happen. Alabama's going to become the new number 1 team when it's all said and done. They beat Georgia. Some folks may keep Texas there because they let Georgia back into it and actually was trailing Georgia. If it would have been a clear-cut blowout the way they were doing, I think it'd be a unanimous number 1 for Bama, but they might split some of those votes, but not enough to knock them or keep them from number 1. So Bama number 1 for me. Texas, they're going to drop to number 2. Ohio State, they played a team from Power 5 conference, made it look easy. Still would have been, even if Michigan State have been ranked, Ohio State was still going to drop. They holding steady at number 3. My dark horse so far in the SEC is Tennessee. Still, they got an offense, they got a defense. We interested to see what they do when they match up with Georgia. I think they got them later on in the year. That should be a really good game. Speaking of Georgia, they're coming in at number 5. They got the loss. Hard to move anyone up above them. Even with that loss, because still holding out Oregon and Penn State are my next 2. Still, Illinois, Penn State got the win over Illinois, which is looking good because I think Illinois was a good team. Around that, we got Missouri after that, because I moved them in front of Miami, because I think Miami is still living off that win over Florida, and I just don't think Florida is all that good. And rounding out my top 10, it was hard to do, but you got it. Their only loss is to Texas at the end of the day. At the end of the day, their only loss is to Texas. And everyone, folks behind Utah fell off, LSU fell off. Like they lost to SC, so Michigan beat SC. So by default, Michigan is number 10. Still got to get them a quarterback, but that's Core Dogs top 10 this week. Be interested to see how stuff starts playing out. Some of these teams having to start to play each other. Next up for the Buckeyes, it's gonna be a tough. Ohio State's getting into a tough stretch here, so they're going to have to start proving some of their mettle on their own now. Iowa's not ranked, but Iowa always has a stout defense. They got a good running game. Their passing game could be somewhat vanilla, but if we come out in that soft zone like we did this time, who knows? We might make their quarterback look like an all-star, like Childs is looking at for a good portion of the first half. But that is the next game up for Iowa in Columbus. I don't think it's going to be on Peacock, so everyone should be able to see. See, it shouldn't have those issues. So, but there you have it. That's this week in a wrap up. When my thoughts on that. Other Big Ten teams I have ranked coming into this stuff. I still got Indiana. I think Indiana is the team that we need to watch out for. I got them clicking in at number 14. Other Big Ten teams I have ranked, dropped Illinois down a little bit to 22. And just for the sake of argument, they're on the precipice. I was going to put Iowa in the top 25, but I can't do it. Too many other teams out there I think are more deserving of a top 25 ranking. Can't just put them in there just because they play Ohio State next. Shouldn't have lost to Iowa State. But so that's it. Ohio State, they looking good. That O-line is looking good. That's outside of Henderson's blocking. That O-line starting to come together. Like Justin Fry got the team. Got them going. Got them looking good. Trevion. And I'm just more and more impressed with his blitz pickups. And of course, Jeremiah. He's a man amongst boys. So be interested to see how they do next week against Iowa. I believe they open up as an early 20-point plus favorite. So we'll see how that goes. Hopefully the defense will come out ready to play. And they have a better defensive formation. Just come out better defensive, where to be not be so sluggish or not be so soft in coverage or whatever it was that allows these teams to run up and down the field in the first half. Stop waiting until halftime to make these adjustments. Just come out and do it from the get-go. Give us a lot of breath of fresh air. You guys can do that from the get-go. But so anyway, if you're enjoying the stuff, you agree for anything I said, the Michigan fans, if some of you are watching this, was the offsides? Was Minnesota offsides? Because even your own fans don't think they was offsides. Jeremiah, yes, is he the best freshman? Considering it'd be hard to argue. So we will see. But interested in your comments. I try to reply to everybody, good, bad, or whatever. Hit me up in the comments on your takes on how you thought the game went. Bama, Georgia, Ole Miss, Indiana, our defense, Will Howard, Devin Brown, Julian, saying anything, I will respond to you. So again, hopefully, yeah, like I say, if you're feeling what you're hearing, hit that like button. If you just like Ohio State content, college sports content in general from a fan's point of view, please subscribe. Try to do more here in 2024. And until next time, OHIO, I'm out. Go Bucks.